Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good day to everybody. Welcome to MOOC for Personal Taxation. I am Maridiana binti Uthman, one of your instructor for this course. In this course, we will determine the chargeable income of personal taxpayer which governed under Malaysian Income Tax Act 1967. Please bear in mind that each country will establish their own act in order to govern their tax administration. In Malaysia, the tax administrator of the country is called the Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia, or known as the IRBM. Well, what is taxation? In a simple term, taxation can be said as the amount of money collected by the tax administrator of the country from the taxpayer in order to finance the public facilities such as schools, universities, transportation, and others. In this course, we will discuss 5 modules starting from the introduction and basis of Malaysian income tax, resident status of individual taxpayer, employment income, relief and rebate, and lastly, the tax administration of Malaysia. Under the introduction and basis of Malaysian income tax, we will learn that there are 2 types of tax. The first one is the direct tax. Direct tax is the amount of money collected from the income of taxpayer and paid directly to the Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia. Whereas indirect tax is the amount imposed on customer which consume such service or goods and collected by the third parties but paid to the Royal Customs of Malaysia. There are several objectives of collecting tax. Some of them are: the first one, to finance the public facilities as I mentioned before. The second one is to encourage equality through distribution of wealth, especially to those with less. The third one is to promote economic growth by providing incentive, exemption, relief, and also rebate. And lastly, to discourage the use of harmful products, for example liquor and tobaccos. As the scope of charge in Malaysia, we comply Section 3 of Income Tax Act 1967, which is the derived and remittance basis. Derived and remittance basis means that any income derived or originated from Malaysia and bring into Malaysia will be taxed in Malaysia for that particular year of assessment. In the first module, we will cover the type of income chargeable in Malaysia based on Section 4 of Income Tax Act 1967. Those income are Section 4A, which is income derived from business, Section 4B, income from employment income, Section 4C are income derived from dividend, interest and discount, Section 4D, income earned from rentals, royalties and premium, Section 4E is income under pension, annuities and critical payment, and also Section 4F is any gain or profit which does not fall under the previous paragraph. As for non-resident taxpayer, their income is chargeable under Section 4 capital A, which is any consideration or payment on advice or technical assistance, and also any payment on rental for any movable property owned by the non-resident taxpayer. As for the second module, we will discuss on the determination of resident status of a person in Malaysia. It is very important for us to know the resident status because the person who are resident will enjoy and qualify the rebate and relief, and also enjoys the gradual tax rate compared to the non-resident taxpayer. Resident status of a person in Malaysia is governed under Section 7. Section 7(1)(a) determines the resident status of a taxpayer based on the physical existence of that person in Malaysia, which must be at least 182 days. Under Section 7(1)(b), a person can also be resident of Malaysia if he or she has no physical existence in Malaysia for a period of 182 days, but any existence must be linked to or linked by a period which is 182 days in a preceding or following year. Under 7(1)(c), a person can also be resident in Malaysia when he has physical existence in Malaysia for a period less than 90 days, but 3 out of 4 immediate preceding he must be resident in Malaysia, being in Malaysia for at least 90 days or mix of both. And lastly, under Section 7(1)(d), a person can still be considered a resident of Malaysia even though he or she has no physical existence in Malaysia. However, he must be resident in 3 immediate preceding and 1 immediate following of that particular year of assessment. The third module of this course will cover on the determination of employment income of a person, which is governed under section 13(1)A until 13(1)E. The first section of employment income is governed under section 13(1)A, which is any employment income received in terms of cash or cash convertible. Under section 13(1)B is any employment income received in terms of benefit in kind, for example, driver, gardener, handphone and any others. Under section 13(1)C is employment income received in terms of living accommodation, which is house, hotel or hostels. 13(1)D is employment income received in terms of refund of any unapproved fund contributed by the employee previously. And lastly, under section 13(1)C is employment income received in terms of compensation for loss of employment. The total of section 13(1) subsection 1 will arrive at the total employment income. However, there are some allowable expenses allowed to be deducted in order to arrive at the adjusted employment income. Those expenses must be expenses which is incurred wholly and exclusively for the purpose of performing the employment, and it must also be revenue in nature. The fourth module covers the full format of individual chargeable income. Well, after having some information on how to calculate the income received of a person, we will establish the full format to calculate the person chargeable income. But prior to that, we will introduce to you two types of assessment. There are two types of assessment, which is known as joint assessment and separate assessment. It is highly advisable to use the joint assessment if the chargeable income of a husband is lesser than chargeable income of a wife in order to maximize the claim of personal relief. As for the relief mentioned before, there are many relief provided by the IRBM as an incentive to the taxpayer. As mentioned before, this relief is to be deducted from the total income of a person in order to arrive at the lower chargeable income. Among the relief are personal relief, child relief, spouse relief, disabled spouse and child relief, and many more. The last topic of this MOOC covers on the tax administration of Malaysia, where it discusses the IRBM assessment, its collection branch, its function, beside the responsibilities of taxpayer as employee and employer. The responsibility of a taxpayer started with their obligation to submit the assessment form in a stipulated period. Currently, Malaysia has implemented e-filing system in order to enhance the self-assessment system, which promote the voluntary tax compliance. This is known as original assessment, but beside that, there are many other assessments involved, such as reduced assessment, composite assessment, additional assessment, and others. The original assessment is also known as tax return or tax form. In Malaysia, there are many types of forms. Tax Form B is for residents individual with business income, Form M for non-resident, Form C for companies, Form CI for cooperative, Form P for partnership, Form T for trustee, and lastly Form E for employers. As the function of IRBM in Malaysia is to ensure compliance, the last module of this MOOC also covers the administration of offences, appeal, and enforcement of penalties. All this will be discussed in length throughout this course. So, how's that as an introduction for personal taxation? Let's get started. We'll see you soon in the first module. Hope you enjoy yourself and see you soon. Bye!